Hi, and welcome to this demonstration preview of Origins by Heirloom Software. In this video, we're going to take a look at the current status of Origins, but it's important to know that Origins is still very much a work in progress. We are still in active development. So while you'll see a lot of the functionality that we're planning, not everything's finished. Colors, icons, a lot of the images are still not finalized. If you'd like to give us some feedback, we would love to get feedback via our Facebook group, accessible via the URL shown here. And whether that's good or bad feedback, everything is going to help us make Origins the best genealogy software it can be. Starting with what we call the dashboard, this is more or less the home page of the application. And it shows you kind of a snapshot, customizable snapshot of what's been going on as you've been doing your research inside Origins. Currently, we have 4 or 5 different available widgets. Starting on the left-hand side with the Research Log Viewer, this shows you the information that Origins captures as you go through and are doing your research, and gives you access to get back to those items if you need to, or to find out when you changed a particular field, for example. In the middle, we have the photo gallery cycling through your media, and below that is your to-do list. You can add individual notes onto the to-do list items, you can mark them as complete, you can see the priority, etc. In the top right is just a little bit about the current version of Origins. And below that is what we call the scratch pad. It's a place where you can put ideas or questions or notes or really anything you want. It's just a place to jot down kind of your current thoughts on things as you're doing your research or whatever else you want to use it for. Now, these widgets are customizable. You can choose where they show up inside the dashboard. Moving up to the top, we have the different major areas of Origins that we'll take a look at. And then down the bottom here, we have our quick links, which is user customizable. You'll be able to define what elements show up that you need to access quickly. Origins will automatically track the people, online sites, and reports that you've accessed recently and make those available via the recently accessed elements menus down at the bottom. We also have a little pop out here to get some additional information, a link to the dashboard. When you delete things in Origins, they're not permanently deleted. You can get them back from the recycle bin. You can get access to your full research log, access to the social aspects of Origins. Your full to-do list is available. You can also see information about your family file, change settings within Origins, and then see some additional information about Origins itself. If I wanted to go in and start looking at some of the people information, I can click to go in and see here is some information on one of my people in my tree. This is showing a bow tie tree of Marilyn's information. Now we've got a little problem with our data currently, but we would have birth, death, and marriage information displaying at the top. And you can see Marilyn is blue. We see her parents. If I want to see some information about a person, I can click on the little information icon. So here's some information about her father. I can click to go to his profile. Now you can see he's the current person. I can see his wife. And if he had multiple spouses or multiple partners, they would show up in a drop-down. And by selecting a different partner, the children below that would change. Within the children list, I can reorder the children simply by dragging and dropping them to the order I want them to display in. And Origins will update that in the background. Any place you see a little plus sign, you'll be able to add a new person, so a new parent for a spouse, new parent for your target person, whatever the case may be, you can add very quickly. And any place you see the little information icon, you can click and see a little card that would summarize that person's information. If I want to take a look at additional information such as the media and files or my to-do lists specifically targeted at this person, so this filters my to-do list, I can see notes. I have the ability to add rich text into my notes. So I can change the presentation, change the color. I can add bulleted lists, whatever it is I need to do in order to make this readable and presentable. So that's in notes. I can have tags. I can see the tree with that person at the root. I can go back to the people view, or I can go take a look at this person's facts. Now the facts pops up in our task pane over on the right-hand side. And Origins has the concept of vital facts, which are name, birth, death, and parents. So those are the things that you really need to have at a minimum about each person. So we can go in and take a look at their name, and you can see that I can add an additional name or take it away. I can take away a name, and you'll notice that it is reflected immediately within Origins. Another option that you have is instead of putting unknown in as a value for a field, you can check the unknown box. And Origins will then treat it as unknown as opposed to a value of the string unknown. And that gives us the ability to do some really special things inside reports. You saw there we also had the ability to do notes for an individual fact. Moving down into birth, we can see the ability to enter dates in a variety of formats. And this is getting into starting to see the smart fields capability, where Origins knows that you're entering a date. And there's a couple different ways you could do that. I could enter the exact date, or I could say it's between two particular dates. And Origins is going to give me a prompt to specify that information. Or another option would be that it's before a particular date. Or after a particular date. And this allows you to enter this information without having to, first of all, remember whether you abbreviated after as AFT, whether you spelled it out as after. It gives some consistency because Origins is going to do that for you. And it also allows us to have just the date information available inside the field. Everything else kind of wraps around that and provides support for the actual date itself. Death is going to be similar. Parents gives you the ability to see that person's parent information. And then we go into the rest of the facts that Origins supports. And we currently support over 80 different types of facts, or the ability to add your own custom fact. Now that's a lot to have to scroll through. So you can go through and start to type, and it will filter to show you just ones that match whatever you've typed in. And you can see here we have basics, details, notes, and citations. If we switch to military service, we start to get begin date and end date and location options now, because there's additional information we can put in that fact. If I want to change that, I can go into basics and uncheck to get rid of the start and end date. Inside basics, I can also specify my confidence in that fact, whether or not it's a primary fact, and whether or not I want it to be private, meaning it won't show up in any exports or reports or anything like that. Another smart field that we have is for location. And it's going to give you fields to specify the city or town, the county, the state, and the country. And you can see we get the ability to have type ahead, where we start to type something in, and Origins will search what we've typed in previously and prompt us to select one of those items. Now, if you want to go beyond that, if you know street information, for example, you can go into details and start to type in whatever additional information you need. And you'll see that we have the ability to support multiple street fields. So 123 any street, second floor, I can add those as two different pieces of information, and I can continue to add additional street fields as I need to. Now, it's important to know that these labels here, village, borough, township, etc., are all customizable. You can change those to whatever makes sense for you. So you might want zip code or postal code or something different besides what Origins defaults to. You'll also notice that changing an item down in the details will change the value up above as well. So we don't want you to have to retype this information. Once you've added a fact, it will show up here above the Add Fact banner, and then all of your available facts are listed there. Taking a look at some of the different areas of Origins from the top menu bar, we can go into the Research section, and here I have two tabs up, one for Family Search and one for Ancestry. And these are live. I'm hitting these sites live. You'll notice over on the right-hand side in the task pane, you can see some information that Origins has captured and I've entered about the last time I was doing research on Family Search. Who was I looking at? What was I doing? And when I jump over to Ancestry, it's different because I was doing different research there. We don't have this completed yet, but we will have a web grabber. So if you're on a detail page for a particular person or a document or something like that on a website, you can grab information from that and without retyping it, pull it right over into Origins. And as I said, these are live web pages. I'm browsing via an embedded browser inside Origins. So I don't have to go to an external browser and then pull the information back in. Looking at different reports, You'll have the ability to view the out-of-the-box reports or customize them depending on what your needs are. We'll have a learning center. We'll have additional tools, all available via the top menu bar. And we're really focusing a lot of our time on DNA. So you can see a lot of information available for working with DNA, kind of the new thing or the up-and-coming thing in genealogy research. So reports specific to DNA, managing matches that I've uncovered via different websites, information about my DNA and where I was tested and when I've uploaded it, access to external sites and tools, and we are looking to actively partner with external tools and vendors to bring that functionality and make it available to you. A DNA-specific learning center, ghost trees, which is the ability to have potential matches that have been identified through DNA or other means, but they're not yet attached to your primary tree. But you can work with those people and that information all within Origins as a separate thing from your tree. Taking a look at your ethnicity information and DNA that has driven your ethnicity estimates. Tools and information for working with DNA cousins, managing people who are potentially related, and then various other tools that Origins is going to include for working with DNA. So that's a quick look at Origins as it currently stands now in the beginning of November. Again, if you have any questions or feedback, we would love to hear on our Facebook group at this URL shown here. Thanks for watching and helping us build the greatest genealogy software on the planet.